Certainly, the Diddy trial has a lot of people in the entertainment industry scared to death because as more things continue to come out about the things that happened with Diddy, with the people Diddy knows, with his friends, with his acquaintances, with his business partners, it looks more and more nefarious and more degenerate and disgusting every single thing that comes out.
All right, everyone, we need to talk about Sean Diddy Combs because things have taken a serious turn for the worse. The music mogul's legal troubles just escalated as his attorney abruptly quit the case. Let that sink in. His own lawyer walked away.
One of the lawyers representing Sean Diddy Combs in his trafficking case is quitting. Anthony Rico filed notice in Manhattan federal court.
An attorney representing Sean Diddy Combs in the trafficking case announced that he is stepping down as counsel.
One of Diddy's lawyers just quit, and not just any lawyer. This is the same guy who once defended one of Bin Laden's closest associates. Let that sink in. This attorney has taken on some of the most notorious cases in history, yet even he wants nothing to do with Diddy's case now. When the people who make a living defending the indefensible start backing away, the writing's on the wall. It's a wrap.
The lawyer might have found out that their client's crimes were much, much worse than they expected, like so bad that they just can't morally stick with the case and they gotta go. That might be the reason, because as far as we know, you and I, Diddy's crimes are terrible, but his lawyers know much more than what we know. They know how far Diddy might have went. So Anthony, Diddy's lawyer who left, might have seen something he didn't want to see and said, look, I can't even work with bro anymore.
Now, this particular defense attorney's reason for quitting wasn't really a reason at all, making his departure a lot more puzzling.
So, what's really going on behind the scenes? Why did this attorney walk away, and more importantly, what does this mean for Diddy's case moving forward? Let's break it all down. And if you think this is just speculation, think again. Stephen A. Smith just confirmed what we've all been thinking. This isn't just about a lawyer quitting. This is about the entire narrative around Diddy crumbling in real time.
Rico, who was retained by Combs in September, did not immediately respond to a request for comment. Combs has 5 other attorneys on his team, end quote. Let me say this. Anytime an attorney backs out, that's not a good look. Now, there could be a variety of reasons as to why this happened, and we all get that. I understand that. But anytime an attorney backs out, particularly of a high-profile case like this, is not a good look, and I'm gonna tell y'all why. Because if you are an attorney, the more acclaim your client has, the more popularity your client has, the more recognition and notoriety your client has, the more you benefit from a positive outcome in favor of that client. So that client, if Sean Diddy Combs gets off trafficking and racketeering charges and the jury finds him not guilty months from now and he's able to walk out the courtroom a free man, you know how good that makes those attorneys look? Everybody will be clamoring for the cameras. Every single one of them. They'll be going crazy. They'll all be clamoring for the cameras. So I'm saying all of that to you to say, if that's the case, let's understand what we're talking about here, okay? It's very, very important that we do that. An attorney walking away, sometimes it's because they don't get the lead chair or one of the lead chairs. Sometimes it's because a client is lying. Sometimes it's because they believe wholeheartedly that the client is going to be guilty and they don't want to be associated with that guilt because that's a loss on their record. It could be a variety of things, but the fact that we are speculating about that when the trial date hasn't even started yet concerns me, because I'm one of those people, ladies and gentlemen, who firmly believes it's virtually impossible to find a jury that's not contaminated by some kind of information that's been put out to the public before a trial begins. I'm not one of those that believes that. May 5th is May 5th. I mean, come on now. That's more than 2 months away. Jury ain't been selected yet. You trying to tell me nobody that's on the jury will have heard that a lawyer backed out of the case? I don't know about y'all, but I find that that's not a good thing for Sean Diddy Combs, for something like that to happen. That's not a good thing. What's good is if you fire the dude. But if the dude fires you as a client, even if you got 5 other lawyers, And that was the first dude you went to when you retained the services in September. That's not a good look.
When a case like this goes public, the jury isn't just influenced by what happens in court. They're taking in everything the media puts out long before the trial even begins. And right now, the image being painted of Diddy is nothing short of career-ending. What's worse, the attorney's reason for quitting doesn't even seem legit.
Anthony, in a court filing on Friday, said he's leaving the case. In the filing, Anthony Rico said, quote, "For the reasons set forth below, this motion for withdrawals is filed so that Sean Combs may move forward with his defense and to commence jury selection and trial without any delay. As a result of discussion with lead counsel Mark Agnifilo, this motion for withdrawal of counsel is filed. While I am aware that the local rule requires that an application for withdrawal of counsel is supported and granted, there are sufficient reasons related to protections afforded by the attorney-client privilege for brevity in my application for withdrawal as counsel in this case. Although I have provided Sean Combs with the high level of legal representation expected by the court, under no circumstances can I continue to effectively serve as counsel for Sean Combs," end quote. Now, essentially in legalese, I quit, but I can't go into details because of attorney-client privilege.
Legal experts say one big reason for this legal mess is Diddy's own defense strategy. He's doubling down on claims of racial persecution while also suggesting that Cassie was asking for it. Two extremely difficult arguments to sell in court.
It's significant because Anthony Rico was someone that Sean Combs was clearly comfortable with. He also grew up in Harlem, and he would often sit next to Sean Combs, kind of keep him calm during court proceedings. And here Rico is now very experienced litigator, represented death row inmates, represented Al-Qaeda defendants, represented cops in the killing of Sean Bell here in New York, an experienced lawyer who now says, for reasons really unknown, that he can no longer represent Sean Combs.
But we do have ethical obligations as to why we'd have to back out of representing someone. For example, I can defend someone if you commit a crime, but I can't help you further a crime. I can't put forward a legal argument that I know is insufficient or illegal. And so there's certain barriers as to why an attorney must back out, would feel to back out, and why a judge would agree with that if they feel that their own obligations to that client aren't being met. There's also, if they feel like the legal advice that they're giving them is appropriate and the client is not taking it and it's going to lead them down a wrong path. There are multiple different ethical reasons that may not be the reason here, but it's a broad list as to why someone would do that.
And Diddy put forth two arguments recently. One, that he's the victim of a racist prosecution, and the other is that Cassie Ventura was asking for it. And those are tough defense arguments to make in front of a jury. Maybe Anthony Rico didn't want to be part of those.
To make matters even worse for Diddy, President Trump has hinted at releasing the names on Epstein's infamous list to the media. If that happens, it could be absolutely devastating for the music mogul's already crumbling case. Once those names go public, Diddy would be all but guilty in the court of public opinion. No PR team in the world could contain that kind of narrative explosion.
Very interesting, isn't it? Probably will be, by the way. Probably.
So if you're able to, you'll be...
Yeah, I'd certainly take a look at it. Now, Kennedy's interesting because it's so many years ago. You know, they do that for danger, too, because, you know, it endangers certain people, et cetera, et cetera. So Kennedy is very different from the Epstein thing. But, yeah, I'd be inclined to do the Epstein. I'd have no problem with it.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to release the Epstein list. President Trump is the only person that actually fought on behalf of the victims against Jeffrey Epstein in Palm Beach when he actually caught a case. Jeffrey Epstein was put in prison and was found guilty, much like Diddy is about to be found.
And just when you thought things couldn't get any more shocking, listen to what Trump's former Department of Defense Chief of Staff, Kash Patel, just revealed about their potential declassification plans.
The American people the truth. And that's what they feared about Donald Trump. He's going to come in there and maybe give him the Epstein list and maybe give him the P. Diddy list. You know, he's going to come up there and maybe do all these things, and they are terrified.
Yeah, I believe that's part of the reason why Jimmy Kimmel was crying last night on his program. But also, I believe that this is something that the American public desperately want.
That's right. Just like Epstein's infamous list that sent shockwaves through Hollywood and Washington, there's reportedly an asterisk, Diddy list asterisk, that could cause absolute chaos if made public. Speaking of explosive revelations, Diddy's remaining legal team is now making desperate moves behind the scenes. Sources confirm his attorneys are aggressively pushing to force the identities of witnesses and victims into the open, a strategy that's raising serious eyebrows in legal circles. They claim Diddy needs these names to properly prepare for trial, but many are calling it what it really is: a last-ditch intimidation tactic.
Last week, the defense submitted another letter, and now they're saying they want witnesses' names as well, writing, "The government has produced over 20 terabytes of information, and it is impossible to do a proper defense investigation as to the allegations in the Enterprise letter in less than 2 months without the names of the individuals, both alleged victims and potential witnesses who are listed in the Enterprise letter." Now, that Enterprise letter is very, very important.
But the prosecution isn't having any of it. They shut down Diddy's motion with a blistering response that has legal experts talking. Given Diddy's alleged history of witness tampering, this decision was more or less expected.
The government writes in response to the defendant's letter asking the court to rule on its motion for a bill of particulars, originally filed on October 15, 2024. The government continues to oppose the motion, which was originally styled as a request for a bill of particulars identifying victims and has now been apparently broadened to encompass not only victim names, but also the names of a large number of potential government witnesses. The defendant provides no persuasive basis for his request, which in any event will be fully satisfied when the government provides the information on the schedule already set by the court, and the request should accordingly be denied. They go on to write, "For the reasons set forth in detail in the government's October 30th, 2024 opposition to the motion, premature identification of victims and witnesses carries significant risks in a case like this one, which involves numerous allegations of violence, coercion, obstruction of justice, and witness tampering."
Sources close to the case reveal something truly chilling. When Diddy was applying for bail, his alleged victims were reportedly paralyzed with fear at the mere possibility of him walking free.